Hello, welcome again, this time in English. Today I wanted to tell you about tech trends and social trends that will impact our industry in the next year, but also in the next 10 years. We can assume that the next year will be the next of chaos, too much information, the year when we will be overloaded with that. And we can see that already we have something that we call fake news. Big companies as Facebook, Twitter, or Google are fighting to actually kill fake news and kill this overloading of data that we have. But it's still the work in progress. But not only it will make us more conscious and give us more anxiety about what is happening in the world, but it will also give anxiety to trends watchers and to people that actually make money from data analysis and from knowing what's going to happen next in fashion and in any other industry, unless these people will really get to know how to use data, because it's not always what's happening. We are consuming culture much faster, especially in the past few months, especially in younger generations, and I'm talking about Generation Z, about millennials, and about Generation Alpha. And I have one example for you, which is a VSCO girl. Who knows who VSCO girl is? Okay, so we have a few people in the room who use TikTok. I assume. But for those of you who don't know who VSCO girl is, this is a girl that is wearing oversized t-shirts, Vans, is wearing backpacks from, I don't know what the brand's name was, but she looks this way. So this is how long this trend was on the market. It was only vacation time, and it was mostly on TikTok, partly on YouTube, and partly on Instagram. So it was valid for only a short amount of time and only on a few platforms. And what did trend watching agencies do? They didn't do anything. Like, they all knew that consumers will be anxious about sustainability, and VSCO girls are anxious about not killing turtles and using metal straws. This is like the real example. But they kind of didn't know how to put it in not only one word, but also in one trend. And this is Edited, one of my favorite companies that actually do data analysis for fashion. And they started to talk about VSCO girls in September, which is actually here, so at the end of the trend. So a few days later, the trend was gone. So trends are dead, and they are becoming even more dead, because we kind of cannot assume that the trend will last longer than a few weeks anymore. But there are some macro trends that we should watch and we should pay attention to, like sustainability. Anyone heard about this trend? Do you feel like it's a very strong trend or kind of a weak one? Okay, so it is a tendency, indeed. So in the past 5 years, it became kind of a trend on the internet. We talk about it, influencers talk about it. We have influencers that are specialized in sustainability, but there's a lot of double standards in that. First of all, we buy much more than we were buying, and this is Inditex. They earn, I don't know whether you can see that, in the first half of this year, they have 7% of growth. So we cannot say that they're the most sustainable company in the world. And Black Friday, so this is the last few days. We spent much more online than we spent last year. So as you know from my previous presentation here, we buy more than 150% more than we were buying just a few years ago. So we cannot say that we are more sustainable. This is a trend, and I always say that we live as an industry, we live in a bubble because we live in a big city, we live in Poland, we live in the European Union. So we kind of put an emphasis on some topics, but it's not like other cities, smaller cities, other countries are also paying attention to that. Not like everybody is just talking about sustainability. This is a work in progress, and we can see how bigger companies like Converse or H&M are working on their sustainable collections, or how sustainable startups are doing. As an example, Rent the Runway is another fashion tech $1 billion company, so it's another fashion tech unicorn. But this is a very, very slow process, and there are many reasons behind that. We cannot say that somebody is to blame or not. I think that one of the biggest reasons is that we have a lot of disinformation in that area. So nobody knows what is happening, and I can assume that even scientists don't know, because when you read Nature, they kind of have different opinions, different data, and they are not sure what's going to happen. Like just a few weeks ago, we were people were informing us, scientists were informing us that we have like 10 years to achieve this moment when we kind of have no control over our environment. And just like a few days ago, I saw an article on Nature.com that was stating that we actually don't have any time anymore. So we kind of don't know what is happening, even scientists don't know. There's no wonder that people who actually talk about it also don't know what they talk about. Not at all, but partly. And there's a huge PR stunt. Nobody knows what sustainable is, besides people who are very interested in sustainability. Consumers basically can be told many things. This is a new trend, and they didn't have time, and they didn't have enough information on that topic. And we have a huge cancel culture in that topic. We have a cancel culture in sustainable. We have a cancel culture in many other trends that are happening. And this is also like one of micro-trends that are happening. We use influencers as a tool to actually give statements that are polarizing groups of people. Consumers are starting to think that we have too many things that are going on, especially younger consumers, especially younger users, that wonder that we have something like diversity in social media. Just a few years ago, we had 3 social media that we were using in our culture, which was Facebook and Twitter and YouTube. And right now, we cannot say that thing. So we can. The only thing we can say is, okay, boomer, who uses TikTok here? So this is a trend for today. Okay, boomer is a saying for like older people, which is basically everyone who is older than 40 years. Facebook is not a thing anymore. Now younger generation is using other social media. And if somebody was saying or says that Snapchat is dying, it is not dying, it's just we don't use it. What we have here is a lot of new tools to actually use in our marketing campaigns that we do not know how to use. 2020 will be also a year of chaos in social media, because we know how to make campaigns on Facebook, and we kind of know how to make campaigns on Instagram. We don't know how to make campaigns on Snapchat. We don't know how to make campaigns on TikTok. So these are new tools that we have to learn how to use. This year, in the first quarter, almost 200 million people downloaded TikTok as a joke. I can proudly say that I was using Musical.ly before, so I wasn't one of them. But the truth is that this platform is growing thanks to the big amount of money that TikTok put in American influencers 1 year ago, and it's basically paying back to that platform. So how to use TikTok as a marketing tool? Any ideas? I know a few things for sure because I use that on a daily basis. This is the world's biggest therapy for youngsters. If you have ever been there, you know that young people are complaining that they don't have a girlfriend or boyfriend, and they are complaining about life in general. So this is the place where people find that they kind of belong somewhere, that there are people in the world that feel the same. This is the outlet where Generation Z is basically showing their anxiety and depression, which is one of the most popular topics on TikTok. And this is also the outlet where they can show how special they are and how great skills they have. For example, sports skills or dancing skills or any other skills. And this is much easier than YouTube, for example, because this is an instant platform. And you don't have to have the great video for that. Obviously, brands already see that youngsters have a need of belonging and they kind of want to be special, so they make that kind of campaigns on other platforms like Instagram. Like, for example, this is Converse X account that is private only for artists that are chosen by Converse, so this is for somebody that is special. As well as Antisocial Social Club, they basically don't have any marketing campaigns because they just say, okay, today we'll release 100 t-shirts, and those t-shirts are being sold in like minutes. I know because I tried to buy a few times and I couldn't. But now we have more formats that we need to use, especially next year, because as I said, we have many more platforms than before. It's not like they rose this year, but we should take it more seriously next year. And this is vertical video, which is still not used as it can be. So I'm talking about stories and I'm talking about TikToks and about Snapchat. These are live stream sales, which are highly popular in Asia, highly popular in China, and we should learn from these countries and this region to actually how to use that. And these are other outlets that we don't consider social media, but we kind of should, like Netflix, Disney Plus, or YouTube Premium, because these are great places where you can make campaigns on like product placement campaigns. And gaming is also an outlet. This is also social media that we don't consider social media, and there are billions of dollars in that industry. We also don't use that, especially in Poland. Like when you think about your brand and about the things that you do, even if you work in a bigger brand, I'm not sure whether you work with gaming. I suppose you don't do that. And these are new techs as voice commerce and voice marketing, voice SEO, which is something to look for, and this is something that you should secure as a companies and as brand makers. And augmented reality, which is also a huge hype. This is also the future of marketing. Fashion industry is already using it, but you should use it better. And this is something that part of you have already seen, that there are brands that are doing it quite nicely, and there are many, many, many more brands kind of don't know how to use that. And not to put only 20 brands in those brands that know how to use technology, but I think it's pretty logical that companies that know how to make marketing on different platforms have better sales. And now we have 20 companies in the world that have 97% of income in fashion. And as you probably know, there is no Polish brand there. There are no LPPs, no CCCs, no other Polish brands, unfortunately. But still we have a few players that do it quite well, but could do better. Fashion is becoming more global, and fashion is becoming a part of tech industry, which is another topic. We as a fashion industry should think about our companies as tech companies. Fashion is the industry that is very interesting for tech industry, as an example for Google and Apple, which are doing wearables, and this is also another topic that I love to discuss, but not today. And fashion is basically data. It's data about a body, data about consumers, where they live, what they like, what kind of activities they do beside wearing clothes, and what kind of lifestyle they have. And this is what big companies try to understand and try to tackle and kind of do this. Not 100% well, but there are nice companies like Nike, which is basically a genius in using technology. And I think that small companies like most of us represent don't have many chances on the market, because most of you have one or two people in your company and kind of don't have all the skill set that you need. The other reason is that you don't have budgets. And you can point many reasons why small companies don't make it in fashion. But you can also use some advices or think about a few things that may help you. And the first thing that I've learned the day one of this company that I have, and of my previous company that I don't work in anymore, but it still exists, that the best thing to do is to work with big if you want to achieve big things, and to have nice names and brands behind you, and to try to earn more money because you cooperate with bigger brands. But I don't mean only companies by that. I also mean influencers, but smart influencers, which are thinking in a business way. Obviously, hiring smart people and not focusing only on design or marketing or anything else that you do in your company is also pretty important. But I think that the one thing that big companies start to understand, and somehow smaller companies don't do that, is that communities are becoming more and more important in the fashion industry. And this is something where, in my opinion, fashion industry can win. We don't work as tech industry does. Tech industry have meetups, tech industry have campuses like this place. Tech industry is trying to cooperate with each other. In fashion industry, we don't do that. We kind of, everybody has their own brands, and they treat everybody else as what? As a competition. What we need to learn in 2020 to take more money from these companies is to actually collaborate to make communities. This is I think, the one thing, if you remember anything from that presentation, is that remember that the bigger, the better, the more skills you have inside your companies, the better. So maybe we should think about the way that we can all collaborate. And this is all I have to say for you today. Thank you.